Hi, welcome to my video on find parts of a triangle using Sine Law. The Sine Law can be used to find missing parts of any triangle if you have an angle and a side opposite. The angle is known. So again, you can use the Sine Law in a triangle if you know an angle and the side opposite the angle. Note, the triangle is not a right triangle. Find the unknowns in each: side to the nearest tenth, angle to the nearest degree. Let's do some examples. Notice I have an angle and I have a side opposite the angle, so I can use the Sine Law. So we want to find x, so we write the Sine Law. The sine of A over small a is the sine of B over small b. And we'll say A is 42, so the sine of 42 degrees over 12 equals the sine of 96 over x. And we cross multiply. X sine 42 equals 12 sine 96. Now I could work each of these out with a calculator, sine 42 and a sine 96, but if I divide both sides by the sine of 42, like I have done, x is equal to, they cancel out, 12 sine 96 over sine 42. And we pick up a calculator and we go the sine, turn it on first. We go, let's see, 12 sine 96 division sine 42. And it gives me 17.835. So to the nearest tenth, it's 17.8. And we're not worried about what units. Like if 12 was feet, then this would be 17.8 feet. If 12 was meters, it'd be 17.8 meters. B, let's do another example. Again, it's not a right triangle, notice, no right angles. And do we have an angle? Yes. Do we have a side opposite the angle? So we can use the Sine Law. Again, the sine of A over small a, sine of B over small b. Now I could have angle C and small c, but I just write A and B. So let's go with the sine of 140 degrees. 140 goes with 28.4 equals the sine of theta over 10.3. And when we cross multiply there, we have 10.3 sine 140 equals 28.4 the sine of theta. And we divide by 28.4 on both sides. 28.4 cancels out, so the sine of theta is, now we'll use our calculator and work all of those out. 10.3, let's clear it first, 10.3 times the sine of 140, sine of 140, and we close it off, put the angle in a bracket, and we're going to divide it by 28.4, and that gives us 0.2331. So theta is equal to sine to the negative 1, 0.2331. So theta is equal to, now I'm going to go inverse sine, and that answer was just there, so I'm going to go second function, answer. So that puts the answer. So instead of typing in that answer, which is 0.2331, which I could type in here and hit enter, and the angle comes out to be to the nearest degree, so it's a 13. But let me explain further. We have a 13, but we have to remember sine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Sine is positive. There's the positive there. So if 13 is the first answer, so we put 13 because we've got a first quadrant angle, and the reference angle here is 13. That means the reference angle in the second quadrant is 13. So 13 is one answer. So in the second quadrant, it's this rotation from here to here. Its theta is 180 minus the reference. So it's 167 degrees. But we write down the two answers. Whoop, that's the degree there. Sorry about that. 167 degrees. So can we take, we know 13 is going to work because 13, we can find 13, then we can add those up and get this angle if we want. But if we put 167 in the triangle, allow me to draw. So this angle is 140, and we put 167 in here. Notice this adds up to 307. So that means this angle can't be used. So that means that theta, the answer for theta, is just 13 degrees. Got to be careful on when you find an angle using the sine law. Okay, let's continue. And now we got another example to do. Solve the triangle. We got to find x. So notice we have two angles. So 180 minus 76 minus 47 gives us 57 degrees. Because if you have two angles of a triangle, you automatically have a third one because the sum of the angles is 180. So since this angle ends up to be 57, notice I have an angle and an opposite side, so we can use the sine law. So the sine of 57 all over 14.3 is the sine of 47 degrees over x. And cross multiply, x sine 57 is equal to 14.3 sine 47, and we divide by the sine of 57 on each side. They cancel, so x equals 14.3 sine 47 divided by sine of 57. So we work our calculator here. 4.3, so clear that. So 4.3 sine of 47 division sine of 57. And I get 3.7. Did I do a division there? Yes, I did. So I have 3.7. So let's just check that again. So we have a 57 degrees. So 50 sine of 57 over 14.3, right? Okay. Sine of 47 over x. Cross multiply, you divide. So 14.3 sine 47. Okay. And it's 4.3 sine 47 division sine 57. And it's a 3.7. We got to find length to the nearest tenth. 3.74, so it's 3.7. So that's working out the values of x using the sine law. Now let's do some practice, just do more. So can you solve these on your own? Here we go. If you can't, pause the video and work them out. Again, angles to the nearest degree, sides to the nearest tenth. So we have an angle and a side opposite, so we can use the sine law. So the sine of 124, make that 124 degrees over 51.2 is the sine of 28 over x. So the sine of 124 over 51.2, sine of 28 over x. And we cross multiply. Now if I want to take a shortcut knowing what's happening, I can say x is equal to, I can multiply 51.2 sine 28, and since x is multiplied by sine of 124, I can divide. So that's a shortcut instead of writing all the steps down. So sine of 124 goes with the x. So this product here, these two multiplied, divided by this, will give me what x is. And that works out to be, let's see what we have here. We got a 50, clear it, 51.2 sine of 28 division sine of 124. And we get 28.99. So the nearest tenth, it's 29. Okay, we got another one to do. Solve this triangle. Do we have an angle? Yes. Do we have a side opposite? So we can use the sine law. So the sine of 69 over 30 is the sine of x over 20. And we cross multiply. So because the x is here, I'm going to go 30 sine x is equal to 20 sine 69. And we divide by 30. So sine x is equal to 20 sine 69 divided by 30, because the 30's cancel. Again, the shortcut here, x is here. So if we take 20 and multiply by the sine of 69 and divide by 30, we would not have to go through this, but that takes a while to get used to. So the sine of x is equal to, so let's use our calculator and clear that. So we have 20 sine 69 division 30. And that gives us 0.622, and we can call it a 4. And if we, now we want x is equal to sine to negative 1 of 0.6224. And if we use our calculator, inverse sine, and again, instead of typing in the decimal, just go second function answer, and I get, to the nearest degree, I get 38 degrees. And we should also check to see if there's another angle. So if we take, we know 38 is going to work, but the supplement of 38 is 142. Again, explain. Sine is positive, quadrants 1 and 2. The reference angle in quadrant 1 is 38. The reference angle in quadrant 2 is 38. So the rotation is 180 minus 38, which is 142. But if we take the triangle and redraw it right here, I'm just going to redraw it right here. If we have a 69 and we put 142 degrees for right here, notice that this adds up more than 180, so 142 can't be used. So the answer is 38 degrees. Let's continue. And notice we're using the sine law. It's not a right triangle. We're using the sine law to find the missing parts. And we have another one to do. Don't forget, pause your video, see if you can work it out. Do we have an angle? Yes. Do we have a side opposite? Yes. It's not a right triangle, so we use the sine law. So the sine of 80 over 20 is the sine of x over 16. Now let's quickly cross multiply here. X is here, so the sine of x is equal to 16 sine 80 degrees divided by 20. Now you can cross multiply and divide and all that, but that's the quick way to do it. So the sine of x is equal to, when you use your calculator, of 16 sine 80 division 20, and it gives us 7878. So x is equal to sine, we're looking for the angle, so we do an inverse. And so we have the answer here. So we'll go inverse sine, and again, I could type in this answer, which is decimal 7878, and I'll get to the nearest degree 51.98. The nearest degree is 52. And the other angle to go along with that, if the first quadrant angle is 52, second quadrant angle also has a reference angle of 52. So this rotation here is 180 minus 52, which is 128. So 128, but if you put 128 in the triangle, that's an 80. That's 128, again, more than 180, so we can't use this one, so the answer is 52 degrees. And number 4, we have a triangle MAT, angle T is 90, MA is 8, TA is 4. Find the measure of angle M. Explain your answer using 3 different ways. I'm going to do it 3 different ways. Why not? The more math we do, the more we can work things out, more ways we can work it out. So let's draw the triangle first. I always draw the triangle. We have MAT, angle T is 90, so there's your 90 degrees, so there's T. Now you can put the M and the A, you put M here, A here, M here, A here. So M, A, T, there's the angle. So MA is 8, TA is 4, and we want to work this out 3 different ways. We want to find the measure of the angle. Well, because it's a right triangle, one way is use SOHCAHTOA, and SOHCAHTOA sine becomes opposite over hypotenuse because we have a right triangle. So the sine of angle, we want angle M, so the sine of M is opposite, which is 4 over 8, so that reduces to half, or 0.5, so angle A is sine to -1 up to 1/2, and on a calculator that becomes 30 degrees. If we use our calculator, declare that inverse sine of 1 division 5, 1 division 5, 1 division 2 is 30. Again, I can put a half in. So that's one way using your calculator. But also, if we look at the triangle, we have an 8 and a 4. Hypotenuse is twice that. So it's also a triangle, if you think about it. We have N, 2N, and n root 3. So what happens here, if that's a 4 and an 8, which lines up with here, then that means that this is a 30, this is a 60, and this is a 90. In this triangle, opposite the n is 30. Opposite the n root 3 is a 60. Opposite here is a 90. So that means that angle M is equal to 30 degrees. We could work this side out right here by Pythagorean. So we can go c squared is a squared plus b squared, and 8 squared is 4 squared, and let's call this x squared. So that's 64 equals 16 plus x squared, and x squared is 48. So let's go over here. That means the square root of x squared is plus minus the square root of 48. So x is equal to, it's 48 is 16 times 3. So that's plus minus 4 root 3. And it got to be positive, so it's a 4 root 3. So if we write this side down as 4 root 3, which obeys this pattern, that's why it's a 30. And another way to get this is to use the sine law, because we have an angle of 90 and an 8 and a 4. So the original triangle is this. The original triangle was M, T, A with an 8 and a 4. So I have an angle and a side opposite it. So therefore, the sine of 90 over 8 is the sine of M over 4. So the sine of 90 works out to be a 1. So that's 1 over 8 equals sine of M over, that should be a 4 there. Sine of 90, check your calculator. The sine of 90 is 1. And another reason for that, and I'll do it right here. If you have the circle, this is a 1, 0. This is a 0, 1. So this is 90 degrees rotation right here. So sine is the y, so the sine of 90 is 1. Cross multiply, and we have 8 sine M equals 4. Divide by 8, and the sine of M equals a half. And now we have the same right here. So angle M comes out to be 30 if we use a calculator. And also, just to show you, if you remember that if you have a triangle which has a hypotenuse of 1, and this side is a half, and this side is root 3 over 2, then this angle here is 30. This angle opposite the root 3 over 2 is 60. So the sine of what angle is a half? So the sine of 30. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, a half over 1, which gives you a half. So you can also use that triangle. There's a fourth way to do it if you want to use this triangle. So that's using the sine law to work out parts of the triangle. And if you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.